Hi, I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Rihanna, and welcome back to Fresh Off the Broke.
Fresh Off the Broke is about personal experiences growing up Asian American in a predominantly white community, Asian media, and Asian pop culture in general. Race has always been a sensitive topic. Every day, there are debates over race. With our podcast, we intend to shed light on the experiences of first-generation Asian immigrants, not put them on a pedestal.
We understand that race isn't everything, but there should be an acknowledgement of people of color, the knowledge gap, and the racial divide that will ideally be broken. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the episode. Today, we will explain why Asians don't all look the same.
Apparently, people don't seem to get that.
Yeah.
Well, before we start our discussion, we want to do a little celebration, a little acknowledgement of our anniversary. Yay! Happy anniversary! Happy Fobiversary!
Fobiversary! Yes!
What did you just say? Happy Fobiversary, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you to our listeners, our followers, commenters, likers. That sounds weird. Lurkers too.
Yeah, we appreciate you very much.
Yeah. And throughout these years, sounds like I'm saying like 10 years, but throughout our time so far running the podcast, we met very cool people. We've had some very cool experiences, with our guests, our followers, people that send kind messages or share episodes. Want to send some love to all of you.
Yes, mad love. We love you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's to celebrating many more Fobiversaries together.
Yeah. The champagne glass. And I guess, in a way, not directly or maybe not indirectly either, this is a good episode for a topic like this, because this topic of Asians all looking the same is a very common topic, and I guess running jokes that people make. And so since today is a big day for us, we're going to talk about a big topic. Yeah. And why Asians don't all look the same. Which I'm sure our listeners already knew that.
Yeah, I don't think the people listening to this podcast are people who need convincing.
Imagine, could you picture someone that thinks Asians all look the same, seeing this on their Explore page or their home page, and it says, why Asians don't all look the same? Or Asians don't all look the same. And they're sitting there thinking, they don't?
I mean,
and they click on the thing. Actually, no, I changed my mind. Because sometimes you might see something you disagree with, and then you click on it because you're thinking, no, they must be wrong.
Yeah, that is true.
So if that's you, hi.
I was gonna say,
enjoying the intro so far.
Yeah. Welcome, I guess.
Yeah. And you might be in a place of, what are these people talking about? All Asians look the same. This is not a question. They just all look the same. I have trouble telling them apart. And that's the fact of life. Well, we hope you're still here.
We haven't scared you off.
Yes. And you can stay with us that we had this conversation. You were saying something?
No, just we're gonna bring up later, but we do have some examples where it seems like people are under the guise of genuinely not knowing the difference between Asians. But
we have very recent examples.
Yeah.
And we hope some of you might have actually seen these examples before.
Pretty common.
let's carry on, shall we?
Yes.
Onwards forward.
I think one major factor playing into the mindset of all Asians look the same are the different stereotypes surrounding Asians.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's songs, or I don't know if I really want to call them songs, but there's those racist sayings or weird dances that people do.
Mm.
You know the one with the eyes, where people pull back their eyes and they go like Chinese, Japanese, Korean.
Oh, yeah. And
that's a huge one.
Yeah. And the worst part about that one is that that's like kind of like a game that kids played in elementary school. Like that's how deeply rooted this is.
Mm.
Like whether or not kids realized that this was wrong, like it was just something that people did or kids did.
Yeah, for sure. And when I think of stereotypes, I remember when we were planning for this episode, I had this very vivid memory of I guess you could call it a graphic, or maybe an illustration would be a better way to describe it. I'm going to put it up on the screen and I will describe it. But for the people that are watching, excuse me, on YouTube, I don't know why, but I couldn't really find the full image. So there's a little bit of text cut off on the right. I apologize about that. However, just know it's just more stereotypes.
Yeah.
So the graphic itself, it's a old school caricature style illustration. And so there's a Korean woman on the left, a Chinese woman in the middle, and then a Japanese woman on the right. And so there's these caricatures, and they're all depicting like the stereotype of what a Korean person looks like, Chinese person looks like, Japanese person looks like. And then and around their faces, there's arrows pointing to different features. They're extremely exaggerated. And then in front of these women, there's men, one man for each woman. And there's a comment that's either enforcing a stereotype about the cult and one of the given cultures, or it's a comment about what they look like, I guess. Like, for example, the Korean one, oh my gosh, so like I said, it's on the left. It's this woman with an extremely square face and tiny upturned eyes, tiny nose, very small mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And the comments on the eyes, next to the eye, it says small eye, bracket, operation to enlarge an eye can hurt luck.
What does that mean?
I have no idea.
It's weird.
And then in front of her, there's a caricature of a Korean man that says, there's no mixing of blood for Korean. If I marry outside Korea, my parents will kill me. And then for the one in the middle, there's also a weird comment on the eyes for a Chinese woman. It says, bigger eyes pointing up, sometimes double from mixing with Russian. All right. And then in front of her, there's a white man with a speech bubble that says ni hao, hello in Chinese if you didn't know. And it said, Chinese will accept outsiders who speak Chinese. Language is more important than blood. All right. And then on the right, you have the Japanese woman. Oh yeah, one thing that's kind of weird. I'm not sure if this has something to do with the bias of the illustrator, but the illustration of these three women, the one in the middle, the Chinese woman, seems to be drawn in the most positive light, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like
the one with the Korean woman, very square, very geometric and exaggerated.
Yeah,
And
it's like
the one
objectively
on the
like
right
they
with the
look.
Japanese woman is also pretty exaggerated with very
Yeah.
wide eyes and stuff. But then the woman
Yeah.
in the middle, the Chinese woman, she looks, I
Just
don't want
like
to say
any other
normal,
woman.
but just looks like not as much of a caricature.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what that's about.
Yeah. It's definitely some sort of weird bias.
Mm-hmm. The man in front of the Japanese woman, I think she's white too, says, for the Japanese, personality is more important than blood. It's the American influence.
Oh my God, I hate that so much. This whole thing is just so.
That's so gross.
I know this whole thing is gross, but like these like tiny comments are so like ew.
Yeah, I know.
Ew. I really want to know what white man wrote this.
What if it wasn't a white man?
That's even worse.
Yeah. Have you seen this illustration before?
No, the thing is, when you talked about this before, like not on podcasts, and I'm not familiar with this image, so I mean, I'm glad I haven't seen it before, but like, oh,
I've seen it many times.
I haven't.
I think the first time I've seen it, well, not many times recently, it was more in the past, but I've seen it as far back as when I was relatively little, maybe like middle school. I don't know if I remember seeing it in elementary, but I've seen it the first time pretty long time ago.
I hate that.
And yeah, I was like, oh, interesting. There's not as much to internalize, I mean, really antagonize over when you're young, because you're just like, oh, that looks weird.
Yeah.
But then at this age, it's like, oh.
So, ugh.
And then moving on from this illustration, we found something, and we found another illustration, but from like a real official magazine, Life magazine. You don't know Life magazine? Life magazine has been around for a really long time.
Yes.
Give me a second to check the age. Life magazine was an American magazine published weekly from 1883 to 1972 as an intermittent special until 1978, and then a monthly from, oh, they're just saying it, the frequency. Yeah, It started in 1800. What?
So gross. And this specific graphic is from 1941.
Yeah, and it's a guide telling quote unquote Japs from the Chinese. And it uses pictures of real people. One is a Chinese public servant and one is a Japanese warrior. And it's in a similar style to the original illustration that we were just talking about, where there's annotations all over the place. And it feels so gross.
Yeah, but this one, like compared to the other one that we were looking at, is like actual, like it's trying to be an actual diagram. The other one was clearly like all like exaggerated caricatures, but this one is more diagram-like.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It feels very much as if, you know, sometimes in anthropology, you'll have cases of people being unethical or I guess culturally biased in a way where they're almost, I mean, not almost, they're totally seeing foreign people as some type of oddity to be examined. This kind of gives me that
feeling.
This is
like 100%.
Because if you look at the page, and we'll have the link in the description, it's very, there's just something about it. The title is How to Tell Japs from the Chinese. Angry citizens victimize allies with emotional outbursts at enemies. And there's this whole thing about people, give me 1 second, about people mistaking Chinese people for Japanese people and talking about how there's misplaced rage because of the tension between like the political tensions between America or the United States and the Japanese at the time. And so they're like, oh, since y'all are mistaking the Chinese for the Japanese, who we should be attacking more, here's a helpful
little guide
thing. Yeah, it says life here adduces a rule of, to dispel some of this confusion, life, as in the magazine, here addresses a rule of thumb from the anthropometric conformations that distinguish friendly Chinese from enemy alien Jap. Isn't that's so crazy because of the way the relationship the US has with China now.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think they're calling them friendly no more.
Times are changing, clearly.
Yeah, not for the better.
No.
Yeah, that's something. I guess, okay, yeah, like Rihanna was saying, the comments aren't as extreme as the one before, where it's like, eyes from mixing with Russian. This one is more higher nose bridge, rosy cheeks, less frequent epicampic fold, stuff like that, flatter nose. But even so, it's just so really.
Gross.
Here's the guide, so you don't hate crime the wrong race.
Yeah.
Gross.
Then again, are we really surprised that this was a thing back then?
Yes. I mean, no, not yes as in are we surprised? Yes as in I agree.
Yeah.
I was really surprised when I found this, actually. I mean, not surprised in the sense that I'm surprised that it existed, but I was surprised that there was record of this. Because the link that you'll see in the description is to Google Books. And so this is a digital copy of the 1941 copy of Life magazine. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is.
Caught in 4K.
Literally. And like Life is such a they're a big magazine still, right?
I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. Even if they're not necessarily as big as they were in the past, they had a long not career. They had a long life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You could trace, for example, if you were doing media studies of some sort, or you were studying, I don't know, sociocultural anthropology or history in general, you could just study the Life magazine edition.
Yeah.
And you could figure out a lot about what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a literal reflection of popular culture at that time. Like,
the illustrations and photos. Yeah, you can say photos. The illustrations and photos that we have just been discussing for the past bit were from the past, some from the further past, if that makes sense, the one from the 1940s. However, as we've been saying, this issue of not being able to separate or needing a guide to separate Asians is still extremely prevalent today. And I mean, Rihanna and I have so many stories just from our personal life about this all Asians look the same phenomenon or stereotype.
And I'm sure that if you're not Asian and you have an Asian friend in your life, they've most likely. Also, they also have personal stories about this. This is a very common thing.
Yeah, I mean, Rihanna, we've been mistaken for each other how many times?
I don't even think you can count it. And that's the worst part about that. Like, this is how you know that this is like an actual issue. We look nothing alike, objectively.
Yeah, we look nothing alike. It's not even, I'm not saying that it would be understandable if we were of the same race, like if we were both Chinese.
Yeah.
I mean, people think you're Chinese.
Yeah, people do
But
think that.
one day, when we do our face reveal, you'll understand.
Yeah.
We have completely different skin tones, completely different hair.
Yeah.
Completely different, just our features, everything.
Everything is,
which is kind of the
different.
point, because they can't tell us apart, or Asians apart. But it's just, I'm not saying it would be okay if they were mixing up all Chinese students or all Filipino students or all whatever students, but it's just, sometimes it's so illogical.
Yeah, like we genuinely look nothing alike, and that's not us saying that to like prove a point of this episode. Like, that's a genuine fact.
We don't dress the same either.
No, not even close.
I feel like those are pretty good indicators.
Yes, very.
Who. Yeah, it's just, and here's the thing, don't come here saying stuff like, oh, well, maybe it's because you're friends or whatever, because they don't do that to other people. No. I don't think I've ever, maybe one, I'll say that, maybe one, but I don't really think I've ever seen teachers mistake two white kids.
No.
It's always the kids of color, more specifically the Asian.
Yeah. But definitely POC over non-POC.
Yeah, I've had if we were to stray off a little bit, I've had classes where teachers, this makes no sense because the classes were predominantly white anyway, so it shouldn't be hard. But there would be, for example, two Black girls in the class, and they would think they were the same person.
Yeah, I've also experienced that. Which
there's only two of them. Not that much to remember. What is going on? It's never the white kid. And if you think about it, shouldn't they be harder to remember because there's more of them?
Yeah. In that logic, there? Like, that would make sense.
Yeah. I mean, growing up, I've been called basically the name of every East and Southeast Asian girl in my grade, or even maybe up and down a year. Yeah. I've gotten the thing where they're like, oh, are you so-and-so's little sister? It's like, I don't even know who you're talking about. Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, I've gotten that multiple times.
I have two. Oh my god, wait, I completely forgot.
Unlock the memory.
Yeah. I think a gym teacher or someone asked me if I knew this student and if they were my brother.
I hate that. I hate when it's like, oh, do you know this person? It's like, no. Oh, it's because you guys like look like you're related. Okay. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, say it.
There was a guy friend that I had where this made no sense. I mean, I guess in a way it does because of the whole like siblings or dating running jokes that people have. But people would always ask if we were related. And then they would also always ask if we were dating.
Oh, God.
Which, okay. All right. I don't. Okay.
So like what? Why? Why would you say that?
Yeah. Oh my God. I think I've mentioned this before on podcast before, but I've had I've been shipped. Oh my god, I don't think I've used that word in a long time. I've been shipped with Asian guys in my class. And he would say, "You would look so good together." Like you would look. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you would look. Keyword look.
So good together. It's like, what do you mean? And they never know what to say.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
You would just look
like
good together.
Yeah, I feel like you guys match. How? Say
Say it to my face.
it. Yeah.
Don't be shy now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then the thing is, this extends beyond just everyday occurrences or everyday people. If that I mean, not like celebrities aren't everyday people, but this is so crazy that even celebrities, like big name celebrities, will freaking the journalists when they write about them. I don't even. Do you just? What happened to fact checking, vetting? People just straight up see an Asian celebrity, think, "Oh, that's Jackie Chan." I'm just gonna write that down and not think about it. And does no one check it? What?
It's like, isn't this your job to actually like be giving proper information? Like, shouldn't you be the one like making sure? Like,
where's the journalistic integrity?
oh God.
Can't. Yeah. I remember a short while ago, there was a news report. Yes. So there was a community activist on ABC News and they were from New York because of the at the time recent, I mean ongoing because it's still happening, anti-Asian hate crime. There was a community activist from New York that was at the vigil for Christina Yuna Lee. And so she was talking to ABC News, as I said, and they misidentified her. They on the name bar, they wrote Michelle Go, who is who was another victim of anti-Asian hate crime. And they just slapped her name on the community activist, Grace Lee, her name. They just slapped Michelle Go on the bar.
That is so.
How did they? I just have so many questions about how did this happen? What happened to checking things?
Yeah, like, don't you think, like, you would think that stuff like this goes through at least more than one person? I mean, I could be wrong, genuinely, but even like that one person, it is your job. Like, what?
Yeah, and it was in a prime time program, like live kind of stuff. Wait, is that what prime time means again? Wait, I need to double check. Prime time definition. Prime time. You're getting a live search. This is
people are screaming
the time at which radio or television audience is expected to be at its high. Oh no, prime time means like peak time. Oh, okay. Never mind.
Prime time.
Still, it was in a prime time program. That's
yes.
So many people are watching. They're gonna look and see Michelle Go. Actually, I don't know how many people would be aware because people don't generally. The general public doesn't really keep up with anti-Asian hate crime, which is part of the problem.
That is true.
However, the people that know are going to sit there being like, what? Why? What? Yeah. And then ABC News did later apologize, but.
The bare minimum, really.
Yeah, I know. It's just. And say sorry.
It's like, oops, we messed up.
Yeah. And the thing about celebrities, there's so many. Just recently, as in the time that we're recording this, Ali Wong. So she recently got divorced from her husband, and there were media outlets that were, instead of posting or naming her actual ex-husband, they put Randall Park as her soon-to-be ex-husband.
Oh my God.
Her co-star in Always Be My Maybe. And to make matters worse, they even used pictures of Randall Park.
It's so like what is going, like, how are you guys doing this badly?
Yeah,
Genuine.
and the thing is, there's pictures of Randall Park and Ali Wong together because they've worked together.
Yeah,
they've been on red carpets and stuff together. And so there's people, they're posting, and then of course there's now articles that are informing but also joking around, saying Randall Park and Ali Wong are not married. They were not.
They never were.
Yeah. What people? Just how?
Racism. That's how. Internalized racism, maybe, but racism.
And then there's huge celebrities, huge actors that still get mistaken for other. I don't get it. I mean, I'm not supposed to get it. But just what is going on?
Yeah.
And it's not even small media outlets. There's huge media outlets like CNET, ABC News.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I'm saying? It's just, what is going on? I thought, isn't the whole point of being a reliable or popular news broadcasting company that you're reliable and you have more resources to fact check, get things in real time, get things quicker, get the information out there?
Yeah, like it's especially bad for the news outlets like ABC, like like you are people are relying on you for day-to-day information. Like, this is
where's the journalistic integrity? I know I said that already, but where? Just what happened to that?
None.
Yeah, it's laughable in a way because you'll see it and you'll go, that's not Simulu.
Yeah.
That's not Jamel and Johnny. Like, who? That's literally someone else. What is going on?
Yeah, it's like laughable in like an exasperated way. It's like, are you serious?
Yeah.
When we were gathering information on or for this episode, we were kind of trying to look for studies on how people perceived different types of Asians. But we instead came across this fun study where computer scientists at the University of Rochester tried to teach an algorithm to tell the difference between Chinese, Japanese, and Korean faces. And this was actually inspired by a quiz that you guys can take. Check the link in our description. It was created by a Japanese American web designer, and they were seeing if people could tell Asian people apart and use his friends' photos. So you guys should check that out.
Yes, we gave this a try.
We did.
As we were, like Rihanna said, gathering information for the episode. And I got, not to toot my own horn, but I got 15 out of 18, which is...
Are we doing a percentage calculation?
83%.
Hell yeah. I got a 14 out of... I was going to say 15. That is not it. 14 out of 18, which is
77.7 or 78%.
I'll take it. I'll take it. There was, okay, not to spoil the quiz, but there was one person that I was like, if I get anything correct on this quiz, it'll be this person. And it wasn't. I was wrong. I was
You're part of the problem.
I guess I am. I was very upset about that, but yeah. I got humbled by that one person's face.
Funny.
That does.
Yeah, this study, we were pretty surprised to find it because, like Rihanna was saying, we were looking for something a little bit more, I guess, on the nose or straightforward. And this isn't necessarily not on the nose, but it's more training algorithm to see if they could find differences. Because the study itself, it was called, like, Do They All Look the Same? Deciphering Chinese, Japanese, and Korean by Fine-Grained Deep Learning. And this is a little, let me double check when it came out. I do not think it, copyright 2017. Right. So it's recent, but it's not that recent. It's recent enough that deep learning is mentioned.
Yeah.
But we've seen technology mistake Asians for each other, such as with facial recognition, Face ID. There's been issues where Asian people can unlock other Asian people's phones. And you could say, yeah, maybe it's because they just happen to look alike. But there's a pattern. It's not just, I'm sure a Mexican person maybe could unlock another Mexican person's phone if they, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just saying, like, there's a pattern.
Yeah.
And it's this, like, racial bias and this whole perception that there's no way that we can tell them apart.
Yeah.
And it kind of seeps into technology. Because you have to understand, technology is man-made.
Yeah. It is not the know-all, end-all. It is still created by us at the end of the day.
Yeah, because if the technology is racist, it's not racist on its own.
Yeah, like someone made it. Didn't just manifest out of nowhere.
This ain't no nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
And so if we could talk a little bit about what they did, they had two data sources, Twitter and the Celeb-A database, which is a large-scale celebrity face attributes data set from the Chinese University of Hong Kong Multimedia Laboratory. And it contains over 200,000 celebrity images with 40 attribute annotation. So stuff like hairstyle, face shape, facial expression, whether or not they're wearing a hat. Okay, then they picked out the Chinese, Japanese, and Korean people from both data sets. Twitter is a little peculiar. So what they did was they collected profile images of Twitter followers of Asian celebrities. And then that's what they did. And then they picked out, like, the different people. And then they put it into something called ResNet. And they use Celeb-A because Celeb-A has the attributes annotation thing to train the facial attribute classifiers. And then the classifiers were used to see if they could classify the Twitter images, to see if they could correctly label the Chinese person as the Chinese person, Japanese person as Japanese person, and so on. And so in the first experiment, they used the labeled Twitter images to fine-tune the ResNet technology. And then in the second experiment, they trained 40 facial attribute classifiers and then examined which attributes contained the most important cues, like the most important signs in distinguishing between the three groups. And so what they did was, like in the title, they're trying to prove if there were significant differences between Chinese, Japanese, and Korean people, and saying, do they actually look the same, or are there clear biological or just like common differences in general, which obviously there are, but
Yeah.
they're putting it to a science. And the thing is, if we could just pause for a second and talk about people's perceptions of how Asians look. I understand that there is not necessarily a way where you could sit down or you could just go outside right now. You see someone and you go, that person is that race. I just know because they look like this. Because yeah, you can be wrong. It happens. But the argument here, or even like the overlying topic of our today's episode, is about the fact that there's just this assumption that all Asians look the same, and there isn't even an effort to think that they could be different.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Chinese people, Korean people, same person.
Yeah, same difference, doesn't matter. We don't have to care about what's what.
Exactly. And so the point of this is kind of like pulling out different traits in a different way from what we had in the illustration in the beginning of the episode. Because those are caricatures, stereotypes, and very just like, Korean people have such square faces. You can see them from miles away. Chinese people have eyes that came from mixing with Russians. And so this study, again, they're conducted, I'm not sure if we said this earlier, but this study was conducted by Asians. And so it's not like, oh, do Asians look the same?
Yeah,
no,
that would change everything.
It's because Chinese people have larger eyes, isn't that? No.
Yeah.
And so the result that they found, some of the common traits, which is pretty interesting in my opinion, because it kind of reflects a little bit of popular culture in a way. So here are some common traits. They have bangs are most popular among Japanese people, least popular among Chinese people. Japanese smile the most and Chinese that was a really funny one. It's interesting because this, specifically the bang point, I talked about like having bangs, is pretty reflective of popular culture, since beauty standard wise, Japan and China, they kind of value different face shapes and different aesthetic. So it kind of makes sense that bangs are more popular among Japanese people and less popular among Chinese people. Of course, it's not definite, but they said most at least, not concrete. And then they said Japanese have more eye bags, Japanese have the most eye bags, followed by Korean, which again is kind of reflective of beauty standards.
Yeah, that's also true.
Because of the thing about enhancing like the tear duct. And then there was one point about Chinese people being most likely to have bushy eyebrows. I don't really have anything to comment about. I can't really attest to that. And then Korean people being the most likely to have black hair and Japanese the least likely. Kind of reflective in culture in the sense that, how do I say this? I guess culturally, Korean people are more conservative. Not to say that Japanese people aren't, but I guess if you compare to like popular culture, because the thing is, even though in K-pop and stuff like that, yeah, people with very colorful hair, like
that is
quote unquote normal day-to-day person.
Yeah.
Their family wouldn't let them dye their hair. I mean, I'm not Korean, but my mother has some very vulgar things to say about people that dye their hair. that I'd rather not share. And one thing that was really funny about the papers in the end, they said, in this paper, we have demonstrated that Chinese, Japanese, and Korean do look different. And I mean, so, yeah, they did. It's a very factual statement, but the fact that they just, in this paper, they're different.
That's a funny conclusion.
Yeah. And they were actually able to, with their technology, achieve an accuracy of 75.03%, which is almost twice as high as the human average accuracy of distinguishing between the three, which is kind of sad because 75%. Yeah. I mean, in a way I get it, because like I was saying, the little spiel I had about how you can't just go out and point at someone and say that person's probably Chinese, because I mean, people think Rihanna's Chinese all the time.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
I mean,
like a therapy.
It's more of like I feel bad because people will ask me because they need like help for like directions and stuff. Directions is a big one. And it's like, I don't know. I can't give you directions. I'm sorry. I don't know. I wish I could help you, but I can't. So I just feel bad.
Mm-hmm. And then there's those people that will say, oh, you're Filipino. Do you know that you don't really look like you're Filipino because of insert trait?
Yeah, like Filipinos will do that to me the most. Yeah. It's like, and okay, thanks. I've never heard that one.
Like, what are you supposed to?
I'm like, oh, really? I've never heard that before. No, I'm not like that. I literally say like, oh yeah, I've been told that multiple times. Thanks.
Yeah, I've gotten a comment or two where people say, oh, I didn't think you were Chinese, or that wasn't my first guess because you look like this. And I was like, oh, sure. I don't know.
Okay. It's like, okay, observations. We're making them.
Yeah.
Cool, I guess. But yeah. I think the conclusion of this paper is a pretty good overall message for our episode. Like, as you said, you can't go out on the street and guess someone's ethnicity. Like, no one's expecting you to do that. But it is important to note that all Asian people look different. We do not all look
the same. You said that all Asian people look the same.
Yeah, guys, actually, our stance has changed by the end of this episode.
The numbers have shown that we're wrong.
No, the numbers have shown that there are significant differences. And again, we don't expect you to be accurate with your ethnicity guessing.
God.
A hobby of yours? I don't know.
I hope not.
But I mean, at the end of the day, Asia is huge. You cannot say all Asians look the same when Asia is like ginormous.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, it also has to go into the whole thing where people think all Asians are just East Asian.
That's a whole nother episode, honestly.
Exactly. Yeah. Like Rihanna was saying, this episode isn't supposed to be training or getting you to figure out what Asian looks like what. And like we've been saying from the beginning, we don't think that our audience needs to tell them that. I mean, a lot of the people that listen to us are Asian themselves. Mm-hmm. This is more of just a discussion, in a sense, about how this whole Asians all look the same phenomenon came to be. Of course, this also isn't a history course. And talking about our personal experiences with it, how we've been mistaken for literally everyone. Mm-hmm.
For each other.
Yeah. And it's just a little, I'm not really sure how to put this, but it's more of us kind of not necessarily bonding, but just talking about the shared experience. of being mistaken for other Asian and the problems that come with that beyond just day-to-day things. Like you have news outlets just completely naming the wrong person, the wrong celebrity. Ali Wong getting divorced from Brandel Park.
Yeah.
How did that even happen? Feel free to leave a comment down below about stories where you've been mistaken for people. Are you always mistaken for people? Do you? Because I know some people where they're very rarely called their own name.
Yeah.
It's extremely sad.
Yeah.
And if you've seen more celebrity mishaps and news fails of naming people, do share them with us. We'll relish in the disappointment together. And please, if you do get the chance, take that quiz and let us know what you got.
Yeah. Can you beat our 77 or 83%? Was it 83 that you got?
Yeah, 83.3333.
Yeah.
And if you, yes?
No, just, did you beat us? Tell us.
Please do. I want to know. I want to know who got perfect. And you better have not taken it multiple times.
Yeah.
No cheating. That makes it, that ruins it. Yeah. And if you're the person or the people that we were talking about at the beginning of the episode, where you came in and you saw the thumbnail or you saw the title and you went, they're wrong. If you're still here, let us know what you think. Did your mind change? Do you think we're being ridiculous? We do actually want to know.
Yeah, we do. We're always open for discussion.
Yeah, and thank you for listening. You stayed all the way. Pretty impressive. Pretty open-minded of you.
Yeah, we appreciate you for that. If you guys like this episode and want to stay connected with us, check out our website in the description. It contains links to our streaming platforms such as Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and more. Follow us for more behind-the-scenes content, announcements, and other random things we decide to put on there.
See you next time.
Bye.
Happy anniversary.
Yay.